right. So one thing that I always get questioned about and something that's important is the length of bands. If somebody's 6'2" and let's say they buy the X3 system, for example, and they have the 41-inch bands, even the 37-inch bands at times, they're not optimally lengthened. And you'd be better off having a smaller band that's shorter so you have adequate tension in the beginning. You have a steadier increase in tension through the rep, but the band will stop at a point where it maxes out, and then you will be forced to basically push against like a brick wall at the very end. And some movements like deadlifts, um, Zercher squats, bicep curls, stuff like that. If you don't, you can buy shorter bands. Dr. Jaquish has availability for 34-inch bands. I have a set of those. I've also bought Sirius Steel's 32-inch bands. But for somebody that has the original system and you haven't shortened bands, it's this easy. And the reason I'm making this video is I've explained this so many times. Now I have this video to show no matter what. If normally you would hook your band on this hook, okay? This is a piece of PVC pipe. You can go to the hardware store and buy for like $2. It's about 1.25 inches outside diameter. It's a 1-inch pipe. You could even get them a little bigger, but you could put one of these on each side of the bar, and putting one of these on there is for sure going to shorten the band about 3 inches. So if you put one on each side, you're going to shorten that band 6 inches. Not only are you going to get more tension from the very beginning, you're going to be able to get a lot more out of bands before you jump bands. Somebody that's 5'8" doing deadlifts with the full length of a band is hardly getting anything. You're not getting any tension till hardly till you're above your knees. Then you're just standing, standing up at the end. So by poking this through the hook right here, I can put this piece of PVC pipe in here and then pull that tight. And you can see right there, okay? And that'll never come through there. Then you can get a second one and put it through the other side and do the same thing. And now you have taken a 41-inch band and made it 35 to 34 inches. And you can even get a little larger piece of pipe and make it shorter than that if need be. Everybody's different heights. But with the 41-inch bands, in order to use those in a lot of situations, a person needs to be like at least 6'2". And with the deadlift, you'd still want it shortened a little bit. Chest press. I see a lot of guys that are short and they have no tension from here to here. Then they have a little bit of tension from here and they're just pushing out to here. They're not even getting into the max tension of the band. By doing that, you can shorten it to where it's tight up against your chest. Then you push it a couple inches away and you have some good tension. By the time you reach the end, you don't lock out, but you're almost pushing against a brick wall. That's what you want to happen. And you want tension from the beginning of the rep as well. The beginning of the rep, if you have very sloppy tension, it's going to hinder muscle growth. In the beginning, if somebody's not worked out most of their life and they're going to do something, you're going to get some results regardless because it's new. But in order for a band to get as good of, for most people, as good of benefits as weights, if not better. You're going to have to really worry about the tensioning of the band. Okay. That's a very vital piece right there. And that way you can use the smaller bands and have a lot more tension out of them and use them a lot longer. And then if you get to the point, because a band jump, for example, is huge. So just shortening the band 3 inches, it's like, adding 10, 15 pounds to a weight load, for example, rather than jumping up 60 pounds. And that said, um, that's about all you need for that. But go down to your local Home Depot or Menards or whatever, and where their plumbing section is, you can get one of those pieces of PVC like that. They're like 4 inches long, and they're like $2. Okay, so that's one of the biggest factors in starting out, so you can get the max benefit out of the bands. And then from there, if you want, you can go on SiriusSteel.com or Jaquish Biomedical. Jaquish has an entire set of 34-inch bands, and then SiriusSteel.com has 32 to 37-inch bands as well that you can buy in various sizes for certain things. So with my bands, I have such a variance of bands, I hardly ever have to do that, but I still keep one of those on just because once in a while I will use it. And like I said, something especially like the deadlift, the chest press, even the bent over row. When the arms are lengthened, that band still needs to be tight. And by the time you get it to your waist, for example, you want that band maxed out so the muscle's contracting as hard as it possibly can. And with that said, we'll move on to something else.